The story starts with Ikezawa, a strikingly handsome guy who was first introduced by his friend. As usual, he greeted his friend with a cheerful "great morning," and they engaged in their daily chat about various topics. It felt like a month had passed since the entrance ceremony, and the cherry blossoms had now all fallen. As they talked, his friend's gaze was drawn to a cute girl wearing glasses named Iguchi. His friend described her as plain but still somehow cute. The main character, completely unaware of her name until that moment, learned that Iguchi was the girl's actual name, even though he had been sitting next to her since the seat change yesterday. It was an amusing coincidence that his friend had noticed her first and termed her plain, yet he couldn't help but feel a sense of intrigue about her. This moment marked a new awareness for our MC, who had previously overlooked her charm. The dynamics of their interactions were beginning to shift subtly, laying the groundwork for potential future encounters. It turned out he was merely ogling her milkers, which may satisfy the reason why he's not popular among girls despite possessing the looks. If anything else, it's much expected coming from a high schooler like him. Unbeknownst to them, Iguchi is actually listening to their conversation, and she somehow looks a bit embarrassed and pissed at the same time. Inside the classroom, Iguchi, who was feeling really hot today, decided to remove her cardigan. But then, our typical NC finds his way to make perverted remarks about her body. For instance, the sweat allows him to see her figure, if you know what I mean. The girls were really agitated by his roggishness, calling him the worst in the process. However, as expected, MC doesn't care and just states that he's merely complimenting her. Little did he know, he's going to get caught off guard by Iguchi. Little by little, she vividly described his characteristics, from the injury he often gets from soccer to how his nails are well kept and the way his name is completely visible with his hair trimmed. But mostly when he bends down to pick up something that protrudes from his bust, which is supposed to be hidden. She regarded him as a titillating person. MC, who is currently flabbergasted and seething in red, asked Iguchi not to stare at him as if she's a sexually deprived woman, as it's actually scaring him. But she suggests that all of her statements are just compliments, which is actually the perfect revenge for MC, who always teases her. Well, this might serve as his lesson to never mess with Iguchi. Another day, another taunting from MC. Iguchi, who's just peacefully reaching for the blackboard just to erase its contents, was again teased by MC. He asked her if she was deliberately doing that to attract him. But you know, the sarcastic queen never backs down. She retorted with a savage response, which made him think of a better way to reply. She really noticed how he was buttoning his uniform all the way to the top on purpose. He clarified that it was all her fault. If not for her perverted stares, he wouldn't be doing so. However, Iguchi couldn't just stay silent and give him the satisfaction of triumph, so she came up with another statement that would definitely catch him off guard. She then again narrated how his Adam's apple becomes emphasized when he buttoned his shirt all the way to the top. It really made him look like a real man. Additionally, to avoid showing any gaps, she observed how he wore a shirt that was one size smaller. It really made his waistline stand out, and it made her want to grip it. Without feeling any reluctance, she came towards him, acting as if she was really gonna grab his waist. MC, who's not ready for this kind of thing, was embarrassed and screamed loquaciously. He really sounded like a girl here. How can he be a pervert when he's acting like a sass here? MC is really overreacting because Iguchi hasn't touched him yet, which makes him question the meaning behind her statement. But really, what do you think she meant by that? MC, who's currently at home on his way to school, is contemplating which to wear. He is choosing between wearing a neutral-colored shirt or a dark one. In the end, he just decided to wear the lighter one. As you can particularly observe, our MC is someone who doesn't care about anything but his hair when getting ready in the morning. However, he was troubled over an undershirt because of the person sitting next to him. Even though she has that kind of body, she meticulously looks at him with perverted eyes, and it scares him the most. Iguchi, who seemed to look busy, halted what she was doing as the teacher was going to check the attendance. Tranquil as the atmosphere might seem, no matter how normal it appears, MC always finds his way to make it abnormal. He predicted that Iguchi was looking towards a guy other than him with such intentions. He finds her taste unbelievable. He couldn't possibly agree with her fetish for those men who wear clothes that expose their body lines. Now it left him pondering if he should just remove the undershirt he wore today. After all, he believes that his body is way better than this. Even he has that many muscles. Later on, he realized what he was doing was stripping his uniform. He couldn't be more convinced that she got him wrapped around her finger. He wasn't that pathetic before, and that's why he was surprised himself. Even so, he felt that it was actually good that she had shifted those perverted eyes to somebody else. It made him feel free, that he doesn't need to act and just be nonchalant. MC entered the room and greeted his friend first. His friend noticed how he was wearing an undershirt today when the heat of the sun was obviously evident. As his ego can't accept the fact that it's because of that woman, he forged a lie stating that it was because of the chilly weather earlier. But as his eyes darted out of the room, he saw her deliberately staring at him, and he kind of freaked out. Even so, he brushed the thought off. He even thought Iguchi was taken in by his strategy. With MC's playful nature, he began mentioning the undershirt he's wearing, which kind of shares a similar characteristic. Iguchi, on the other hand, explicitly declined his claims about her looking at him with perverted eyes. However, looking at the current situation, it looks like the tables have turned again. MC is caught in his own trap. Well, Iguchi always has the upper hand in this kind of field, so it's no wonder. Anyway, she cleared out the reason why she was staring at another guy. The real reason behind it was her desire to see MC in that kind of clothing, which she was sure he would look somehow seductive. MC was so flustered that he was screaming his lungs out to stop her from thinking such things, to which she pointed out that her imagination was out of her control. It's gym class today, and now their class is performing PE as Iguchi was innocently stretching out. MC's friend noticed how MC was wearing such a tight jersey, especially during the day. He was about to tell him that it was to avoid any risk, but he halted from talking midway. After all, the sports attire is extra thin, so he'll need to be extra cautious. He also noticed how Iguchi was looking at him again, which he had already expected. As her gaze lowered, he couldn't help but phase as he finally got where she was looking. It doesn't need specific details because when you know, you know. He immediately covered his things and was about to complain about the perverted treatment he was receiving. Unfortunately, Iguchi turned her head away and just ignored him. Either way, he just continued guffawing and complained about how she was staring at his underwear. But meticulously, she was just closing her eyes and not even listening to him. He already knew what she was doing, he just simply knew that she was diluting it again. He tried to forcefully open her eyes as he was certain that she was replaying that scene in her head. It's just that he couldn't help but feel that way, especially the way she looked at him. Iguchi finally opened her eyes and fixed her glasses to stop him from talking. However, it didn't stop her from profusely teasing him. Without batting an eye, Iguchi showed her lacy underwear to call it even. Actually, it's kind of a good idea. She saw her undergarment and so did he. But no matter how even they were now, he couldn't help but scream from extreme shock. Using his jersey, he covered Iguchi with it, afraid of others seeing her like this. Meanwhile, the other girls also try to figure out the main reason why they're showing each other's undergarments. Yuchi then explained to MC that she had seen his underwear, so the same goes for him. But for him, instead of doing that, a simple apology would do. After that, somebody called him as the game was about to begin. On the other hand, she wore the jersey that was thrown at her. After all, MC drifted after wearing that, and they'll need his appearance to complete the team. But before doing so, he reminded Iguchi to stop her habit of staring at someone's underwear. As he joined the game, he couldn't believe he was assigned to be a goalkeeper. Even if he doesn't want to do so, he needs to because if he plays up front, there won't be any match at all. So in the end, he just agreed to be the goalkeeper. As the game was about to start, he began looking for his jersey, and then remembered he was the one who threw it at her. But just 1 second before his trailer off to Iguchi, who was currently wearing his jersey and apparently subtly sniffing it, made MC flustered, so he seethed in red. In the end, a ball hit him out of nowhere. This really serves as a lesson that being a goalkeeper is a job not to be underestimated. After all, with just one sip of your eyes, you can be easily knocked off. MC, who met Iguchi in the hallway, hurried her to return the jersey she was wearing. But she suggested washing it all first before returning it as a sign of respectful gesture. He finds the idea unnecessary as he believes he doesn't know what kind of ritual or whatever she's going to do in his things. He has a strong belief that returning things immediately after the owner demands them is something a normal person should do. He can't be assured of what she's going to do with his clothes. He has had many experiences with them. He also argued that he never told her to wear his jersey without his permission, although he's kind of annoying at some point. I also find his attitude cute. He looks like a young mother yapping at his children to be mindful. In the end, it was MC who zipped Iguchi's zipper down. In that way, he'll be able to get his jersey. He aggressively ordered her to strip, which became another misunderstanding for the girls. They thought he was again demanding for Iguchi to do things she didn't want. When in reality, it's just MC who is bad at putting his words to be nice. It always ends up making him a big pervert. He tried explaining to the girls that it was her who was causing the trouble. However, they won't believe him as he's known to do this kind of thing. But as soon as he focused on another thing, Iguchi was able to escape her way through running as fast as she could. He couldn't believe this girl, but even so, he ran after her in fear of not getting his jersey back, more like the fear of leaving his jersey to someone he felt like a pervert. Fortunately, he was able to catch up with her since he was in the sports club and she was merely in the go-home club. He's so certain that there's no way he'll be losing this duel. After finally capturing her, he began with his non-stop talking and asked about his plan as she was running around with his jersey on. Iguchi tried to clear up the misunderstanding as she was merely doing it because the sweat continuously covered his jersey, so it was kind of embarrassing to have someone's clothing filled with sweat. As she began mentioning sweat, MC was tempted to look at the dripping sweat on her neck. Although he was kind of blushing, he told her that he didn't actually mind it. But instead of giving it back, Iguchi grabbed his shirt up and used it as a towel to wipe off all the sweat on her face. She told him that MC was completely lying as there was only scent. But then Iguchi was called off as she was in a hurry to change her attire, and another class was going to start soon. Meanwhile, MC stood in that same place, not doing anything but staying still. It looks like he was still flabbergasted by the occurrences. Now even his friends noticed his weird behavior. He really needs to get up and go back before another class starts. With this kind of reaction, Iguchi left him wondering about her actions. We could declare Iguchi won this one. The class went on as students chatted excitedly about their upcoming extracurricular activities and club practices. Meanwhile, MC was feeling a mix of irritation and embarrassment. The teacher had asked him to write a reflection essay on why he was 5 minutes late to class, a task he was not looking forward to. The reason for his tardiness was none other than Iguchi, who had been wiping her sweat with his shirt, completely oblivious to the time. MC couldn't believe that not only had she borrowed his jersey, but she had also caused him to miss the start of class. As he sat down to write his essay, MC began to take stock of his surroundings, trying to block out the chatter of his classmates. That's when he realized something that added to his frustration. Iguchi had left her bag behind. She had carelessly dumped her belongings, including his jersey, which only intensified his annoyance. Now he was stuck dealing with the aftermath of her oversight, and he couldn't shake off the strange mixture of exasperation and concern for her things. He began screaming at the top of his lungs, trying to prevent Iguchi from running away from her responsibility to wash his jersey. It was she who insisted that she would handle it. As he reflected on his behavior, he recognized that he was acting much like a mother, which made him pause. He then reminded Iguchi that she had forgotten something important. However, in the end, MC decided to reclaim his jersey without waiting for her to wash it. Just as he was about to retrieve it from her bag, she lunged at him, demanding it back. MC firmly stated that the jersey was his property, while Iguchi looked visibly worried. Her concern stemmed from the possibility that he might sniff the jersey. The thought troubled her, but MC, being as prideful as he was, would never stoop to such a level. The situation became a tug-of-war between their differing perspectives on responsibilities and ownership. Iguchi wanted to fulfill her promise, while MC simply wanted his jersey back. Their playful banter encapsulated the complex dynamics of their friendship, marked by both responsibility and pride. He assured her that when she got home, he would immediately wash her clothes. He suggested she stop thinking like a pervert. As soon as MC arrived home, he set about washing her clothes, but then his mom unexpectedly intervened. This startled him since he had hoped to handle it discreetly. His mom advised him to use a net for her jersey if he planned to wash it. To deflect her curiosity, he lied, claiming that the jersey hadn't been worn at all. After making that excuse, he rushed to his room, feeling a mix of guilt and confusion. He began to question his own actions, wondering what he was doing and why he felt the need to conceal the truth from his mother. The whole situation seemed to spiral, and he couldn't shake the feeling of embarrassment. His thoughts raced as he contemplated the series of events that led to this moment, reflecting on how something so simple had become complicated. He then threw the jersey on his bed, stating that he's not like Iguchi, so he won't be doing unnecessary things. When I said unnecessary, I bet you know what I mean. MC is partly irritated that he was taken advantage of by Iguchi. He was the only one to get sniffed, so he thought that maybe sniffing the jersey for a bit would be fine, so he tried doing so. But in his captive dreamland, his imagination has gone wild, with Iguchi wearing only the jersey. When I said only the jersey on, what I actually meant is no brassiere at all, just her bazookas being exposed. As he begins sniffing the jersey like a psychopath, he doesn't even realize that he's currently being drawn to the sweet scent Iguchi emanates. It's already morning, and another class is welcome. MC, who was standing at the front door at the time, was immediately noticed by his friend. He was weirded out by the idea of him staying at the door, so it seems that he's feeling the immense tension, especially when Iguchi is inside the classroom. What a cutie. That really justifies his actions. It's normal for him to feel awkward, especially now he doesn't know how to face him. So out of desperation, he grabbed his friend's hands. MC hid behind him throughout their entry inside the classroom, which made it more difficult for him to walk appropriately. As soon as he settled into his usual spot, MC felt a wave of unease wash over him. The moment Iguchi laid eyes on him, he instinctively used his bag to cover his face and quickly buried his head on his desk. His friend, noticing his behavior, leaned in with concern and asked if he was not in the mood today. Meanwhile, Iguchi greeted MC with a simple good morning, to which he only responded with a nod. MC's friend urged him to be on his best behavior, pointing out that he was showing a poor attitude towards Iguchi, who was just trying to be friendly. The friend even apologized to Iguchi on MC's behalf, but she seemed unfazed by the interaction. Instead, she was more intrigued by the sight of MC's back as he sat hunched over. The tension in the air was palpable, yet Iguchi appeared completely nonchalant about MC's apparent discomfort. She continued to observe him with a hint of curiosity, unaware of the turmoil roiling within him as he struggled to engage with the world outside his self-imposed barrier. Even though MC wasn't staring at her, he couldn't possibly believe her word of choice. And do you know what he's hiding under that lurking is his flustered face? He could sense the rising tension between them as she stared at him with an intensity he hadn't noticed before. Her gaze made him feel hyper-aware, almost as if he could hear her subtle breaths from a distance. It was a peculiar sensation that left him both intrigued and uneasy. But it wasn't merely his imagination running wild. Iguchi was right beside him, leaning in to whisper something in his ear. To his dismay, it was something that would expose his embarrassment. Specifically, it was about his ears turning red. MC often found himself flustered in these moments, heat flooding his cheeks. He couldn't help but regard Iguchi as an idiot for getting so close, especially when it came to mentioning his vulnerable spots. Every time their banter strayed into teasing territory, he felt a mix of annoyance and undeniable attraction. MC knew he should just brush it off, but it was hard to keep his composure when Iguchi's words lingered in the air between them. In an attempt to regain his usual cool, he rolled his eyes and tried to ignore the fluttering sensation in his stomach, hoping to shift the focus away from his blushing ears. However, this wasn't about his ears. Iguchi just took advantage of the situation to attain her goal, and that goal was to make their eyes meet. Because she already knew that MC was deliberately avoiding her gaze. Flabbergasted, he wasn't able to react. He was phased, and then the teacher arrived, ordering them to take their seats as he was taking their attendance. Even though the class has already started, MC can't just get off the things that Iguchi said. What was she thankful for? He believes she's the one who's always scrutinizing his body. Still, whether their eyes meet or not, things like that make her. As he was profusely grinning, his friend immediately noticed the sudden turn of expression, leaving him to the conclusion that MC's mood had improved. Unable to accept his remarks, MC hit his friend's back like an emotional girl. His poor friend, he didn't deserve that. But at least our MC's heart fluttered because of Iguchi. Also, I can't get enough of how good Iguchi was flirting. She knew she got immaculate rees. Can't wait for more. Another day, another chapter to conquer, another romance to progress. The day has finally arrived. Guess what? It's the day when they change their school's uniforms. Of course, everybody's hyped up and excited to see their new uniforms. But that contradicts our MC. Well, he hated every bit of it to the point he didn't want to try it at all. Why? Don't ask me why. You know the reason. Obviously, he was so conscious of watching Iguchi ogling his body in his summer uniform. However, he couldn't possibly delay it, so he wore an undershirt just in case. Nevertheless, the thought that it made him look conscious and perverted never left his mind. MC spotted his friend and waved hello, but he couldn't help but feel puzzled. His dear friend was not wearing an undershirt, which was unusual. The weather was scorching hot today, a fact that finally explained the absence of the undershirt. MC's sharp eyes quickly detected that his friend's uniform was unbuttoned, allowing for a more casual appearance. However, he realized that his friend's choice could unintentionally come across as inappropriate. His friend noticed MC's intense stare, but he looked confused and self-conscious. He instinctively covered his body, feeling vulnerable under the scrutiny. "Is my uniform see-through?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. MC quickly reassured him that it wasn't the uniform's transparency that was the issue, but rather the lack of an undershirt that made the outfit playful in this heat. Before he could respond properly to his friend, Iguchi jumped in, wishing him a great morning. He had already considered the potential outcomes of their encounter, so he quickly covered his friend Mano's body. MC made a strong effort to shield Mano's collar as much as possible, insisting that he would handle Iguchi on his own. Mano was taken aback, unable to believe that his friend was instigating yet another fight. His inherently good nature wouldn't allow him to let MC face this confrontation alone. Concerned about the situation, he emerged from behind MC, greeting Iguchi with a cheerful good morning as well. Mano's intervention was meant to diffuse the tension, hoping to avert an escalation. He understood the dynamic between Iguchi and MC was fraught with conflict, but he felt a responsibility to step in. With a supportive demeanor, he aimed to redirect the interaction towards a more amicable conversation. Mano's intention was clear: to prevent his friends from clashing while fostering a more peaceful environment among them. Goodness gracious, why is MC so defensive? Don't tell me he's being jealous? He was pissed because Iguchi was actually being so perverted now that she was ogling towards Mano. MC immediately scolded Iguchi for her bold behavior, her eyes shifting so fast to those guys who had their shirts unbuttoned or those who had their skin exposed. But Iguchi cleared that she wasn't doing anything like that, as she was just about to tell him that Mano's bottom was undone. It was accurate. That's why Mano couldn't be any more embarrassed. Then, to the exciting part, Iguchi grabbed MC's undershirt, partly exposing his chest, and asked if it was our MC's desire to be looked at with perverted eyes. This left Mano speechless and flustered with their conversation. MC firmly denied the statement and seized the opportunity to comment on the shirt Iguchi was wearing, which was strained at the seams. This remark pushed Iguchi over the edge, and she became genuinely offended. In a moment of frustration, she struck MC with her bag, catching him off guard and leaving him unable to respond appropriately. After displaying her anger, Iguchi insisted that the uniform fit her perfectly during the entrance ceremony. She explained that her recent overeating had caused the uniform to feel tighter now. Determined to reclaim her original figure, she vowed to make a change. Meanwhile, MC found himself perplexed. His intention had never been to shame her body. However, Iguchi was already storming out of the room. MC called after her, hoping to clarify the misunderstanding, but she refused to acknowledge him, continuing on her way. The tension between them hung in the air, fueled by a mix of embarrassment, frustration, and confusion, leaving MC wishing he could amend the situation. As he stood there, he couldn't help but feel regret for inadvertently hurting Iguchi's feelings and for the lost opportunity to communicate openly. I wouldn't blame Iguchi if she took that as an offense. I mean, girls are usually conscious of their body, especially when guys make remarks about it. MC felt so defeated that Mano cheered him up. The teacher also arrived, asking them to go inside the classroom. He then asked for the teacher's permission as he wanted to leave early. But just like MC said, his teacher was a demon. His teacher even told him it was utterly his fault. If luck was on MC's side, the new sitting arrangement wouldn't make him suffer like this. Imagine sitting next to the girl so mad at you. How bad can it be? Usually she gave him that irritating look, but today was different. He thought that in situations like this, a little conversation would help to ease the tension. Taking the initiative, he asked her if she had finished her homework. To his surprise, Iguchi responded with a cold shoulder. "I've already done it," she shot back, her tone sharp. Noticing her displeasure, he tried to lighten the mood, but she quickly escalated the situation instead. She began to question his intentions, accusing him of wanting her to prioritize exercise over studying. It caught him off guard. He had only wanted to check in with her, but now it seemed he had misread the moment entirely. The air between them felt thick with unspoken frustration, and he struggled to find the right words. What he thought would be a simple exchange turned into a misunderstanding. The conversation he hoped would break the ice only widened the gap. As he stood there, feeling the weight of her disapproval, he realized that sometimes, even the most innocuous questions can lead to unexpected complications in relationships. He didn't say that, but she was just so mad that she made everything he said a bad thing. As it goes further, bad luck can't just leave MC's sight. Poor him. The teacher ordered MC to bring the class materials from the preparation during lunch break. But since one person couldn't possibly do it alone, he suggested that Iguchi should go along. Iguchi didn't refuse it, and it looks like their teacher is deliberately doing this to help MC fix what he has done. However, during the lunch break, he was given a chance to make up with her. But he doesn't know where to start or what to do in order for her to forgive him. If it was her sister, a pudding should do. So he tried asking Iguchi to go to a convenience store that sells ice creams, and he offered to treat her. But she then replied that since she's fat, she doesn't want it. I agree, you were such an idiot, MC. I guess boys will be boys after all. Due to his desperation, he thought of something despicable, but somehow something she likes, something that makes her unconditionally happy. He offered her a deal wherein she was free to look at his body with no restrictions just for today. Iguchi, who's straightforward, immediately stated the body part she wanted to see, and it was his teats. Right, of all the places, why that part? Although initially skeptical, he decided to show her his. He figured that as a guy, he shouldn't feel embarrassed about revealing his body, especially when imagining he's just taking a dip in the ocean. Just as he was gathering his courage, Iguchi stepped forward, almost reaching out to touch him. Luckily, our main character had quick reflexes and managed to dodge her hand just in time. In a teasing manner, she seductively bit her finger and labeled his bravado as perverted. Meanwhile, their teacher, who was just outside, couldn't help but wonder if the two had managed to reconcile after his unintentional meddling in their earlier argument. At that moment, MC, clearly distressed, was loudly voicing his objections while running away from Iguchi. His frantic cries caught the teacher's attention, causing him to overhear snippets of their conversation. The entire situation was a chaotic mix of emotions, misunderstandings, and unexpected reactions. It was a pivotal moment, highlighting the awkwardness of teenage interactions and the confusion that often accompanies them, leaving everyone involved feeling a mixture of embarrassment and intrigue. And look at MC screaming as if his rights were violated. Iguchi thinks that it was MC who's a real idiot after making her mad. To think he's that desperate to please her is just another level of stupidity. After all she wanted to hear was for him to apologize. The teacher was also shocked because MC didn't apologize, but even so, it looks like Iguchi's mood lightened up as she saw something good. Well, as the teacher was a passerby who didn't have any grasp of the situation, he believed they had already made up. Oh no, our MC is continuously sneezing. What happened to him? His sister already knew that he left the air conditioner on for the rest of the night. This explains his non-stop sneezing. Her sister even reminded him of the possible consequences of doing so, but he seemed unbothered. Now look at him, suffering from a mild cold. As his sister profusely yapped, he stopped her as he believed his body wasn't that weak to be beaten that easily. He even called her sister annoying, which is a typical thing for siblings. He left without flinching, but as soon as he got to school, his stomach started hurting badly. But the fact that it's happening during the class agitates him the most. Iguchi, who was just beside him, noticed the constant holding of his stomach. To think that she wasn't concerned about his health, but how he looks perverted while sweating more than usual is just funny. He suggested that she stop using her perverted mind to gauge someone's health, to which she disclosed that it was her plan to escort him to the infirmary from the beginning. However, MC does not plan to be escorted by her. Too bad Iguchi takes action so fast. She had already informed the teacher that MC looked unwell. That's why the teacher asked Iguchi to do him a favor and escort MC to the infirmary. She agreed since she was a member of the school's infirmary committee. MC then suggested she stop giving him the peace sign, which made her shrug in response. As they walked down the hall, MC began issuing reminders. The first was that Iguchi wasn't allowed inside the infirmary. He could only stay at the entrance. Iguchi chimed in, commenting on how MC was quite talkative for someone who claimed to be unwell. Upon reaching the nurse's office, they discovered the nurse was unavailable. MC, anticipating trouble, quickly asked for help. Iguchi clarified that she wouldn't be handling sick people. As they entered the nurse's office, Iguchi moved to the side to fetch some painkillers and handed a few to MC. Despite the awkward situation, MC appreciated Iguchi's assistance. The dynamic between them was interesting, showcasing a blend of concern and irritation. They continued through the office, trying to navigate their respective roles within the school's health protocols. Iguchi's straightforwardness often broke the tension, while MC remained focused on her responsibilities, torn between her commitment and her concern for MC's well-being. He drank the medicine, and as he noticed her loving gaze, he ordered her not to do anything strange. Iguchi took this remark as rude. She then mentioned that she had brought some pocket heaters to help with her menstrual cycle during the winter. However, in the process of changing, she accidentally took them out of her bag. Searching for a hot water bottle in the storage, MC advised her against it, feeling confused by Iguchi's apparent concern for him. Despite her intentions, she couldn't find a hot water bottle anywhere, which prompted her to suggest using her hands instead. This comment struck MC, leading to a realization of their dynamic. He was surprised by the extent of her worry, giving him pause. The situation unveiled a layer of affection that he hadn't fully recognized before. He pondered the depth of their connection and how her actions, although awkward, were rooted in care. In that moment, what seemed like a simple interaction transformed into something deeper, revealing feelings that were quietly simmering beneath the surface. MC's thoughts drifted as he processed this new understanding of Iguchi's feelings toward him. She has an ulterior motive. MC clearly disagreed with Iguchi's viewpoint, but she maintained that her actions weren't indecent. To her, rubbing his stomach was like applying ice to burnt skin. It was simply a means to alleviate pain. She thought MC was being overly sensitive, and that his mind often drifted to perverted thoughts. Despite his reluctance to hear her reasoning, Iguchi pressed on, emphasizing that avoiding treatment might lead to more discomfort. Eventually, he conceded but cautioned her not to touch any area other than his stomach. Following this, Iguchi instructed him to lie on his side and began to rub his stomach. Always attentive to his needs, she asked whether the sensation was ticklish or if he felt warmth from her touch. MC responded that it wasn't particularly ticklish and acknowledged that her hand was indeed warm. However, he felt that her persistent rubbing only intensified his discomfort rather than providing the relief she intended. Their interaction highlighted the tension between their differing perspectives on intimacy and healing, with Iguchi's nurturing instincts clashing against MC's reservations, painting a complex picture of their relationship dynamics amidst the vulnerability of his physical discomfort. After that incident between him and Iguchi, MC finally came home to rest. Her mom checked his temperature again, 37.4, and it seems that he still has a bit of a fever. As her mother is going to shop, she asks her son if there's anything he wants. And of all things, he asked for ice cream. She advised him to be obedient and rest. That's why he did that. However, what happened in the infirmary is still in his head. The fact that his body got worse because of Iguchi is unacceptable to him. He tried not to remember it and hit his head in the process. After all, he was continuously hitting his head in the bed. He promised himself not to be taken advantage of next time. He just couldn't let her touch his body that easily. While contemplating, his phone received a message. It was Mano informing him he'd be coming to give him the printouts. Just after he received the message, he heard the door ring and became confused as to how Mano got into his house that fast. Just as he was about to open the door, he reminded Mano not to surprise a sick person. Unbeknownst to him, it was Iguchi who paid him a visit. He was utterly shocked by his presence. Mano was also in the front of his house, ready to hand out the printouts and leave after that. He dragged Iguchi's hands inside his house, determined to keep their interaction secret from Mano. Covering her mouth, he urged her to remain quiet. When Mano didn't hear any noise, he assumed MC was sleeping and decided to drop a letter in the box before leaving. However, as he stepped outside, he suddenly questioned his actions. Iguchi, still muffled, let out a soft noise, a sound that sent a wave of heat to his cheeks. She was utterly perplexed. It was Mano after all. In her mind, hiding was unnecessary since it was him. But MC insisted on caution, asserting that it would cause trouble if Mano misunderstood their proximity. This insistence only fueled Iguchi's frustration further. She couldn't grasp why MC was so anxious. After all, they were just two friends. Yet his worry added a layer of tension that she found puzzling. She wished he would simply explain his reasoning instead of acting so secretive. The whole situation was a tangled web of confusion and emotions, leaving her unsettled. What does he mean by misunderstood? Honestly, she didn't say anything about him or her. However, MC just said that. He then asked about her agenda for going here. She stated that she had just come here to visit, and she thought that his condition may have gotten worse because of her. Something like revenge patient care. He commanded her to go home, but all she noticed was that no one else was home. Well, his mother has gone shopping, so I guess he's alone. But there's no way she's thinking of accompanying me, ain't it? But she couldn't help it. After checking his feverish temperature, she wasn't able to leave him and not take responsibility. It looks like everything is gonna go wrong, especially now that Iguchi is here. She started taking care of him. She even got his cooling pad out of his head as it was already lukewarm, so she replaced it with a new one. MC couldn't believe that she was taking care of him. Everything feels wrong. He then complains that the cooling pad is so cold. Of course, what do you expect? That's a cooling pad, MC. A cooling pad, for God's sake. Iguchi then asked if he was feeling well, but he immediately stopped her from touching him. He thought she had already reflected a little and had already known to restrain himself, but guessed not. She cleared up the misunderstanding, as it wasn't like she was going to lewdly touch him. But for MC, the idea of making up for him is to not touch any part of his body, not even a finger for today. Does that mean she can touch you, but not just today? Since she's in MC's room, she'll give full points for arrow supply. In this situation, she guessed she could compromise. He was confused about what she meant by that, but it was merely her saying that she understood what he wanted. She was slurring her words, so he was still a bit skeptical of her words. She asked him to go back to sleep as she just checked up on him. So he ended up going back to sleep, but before that, he reminded Iguchi not to try anything funny. As he fell asleep, Iguchi noted that he was lying face down. MC, overhearing this, grew infuriated and quickly apologized, realizing that she had made a sound akin to a data update. Ultimately, MC struggled with her feelings. She felt that her primary aim was to observe him with her indecent gaze, particularly since he seemed so weak. However, she asserted that his perception of her concern was misguided. Her worry for him was sincere, and she recognized that she might have overstepped her boundaries in the infirmary. Throughout the day, her thoughts lingered on his condition as she frequently glanced at the empty seat beside her. This reflection brought forth a realization. She had indeed pushed him too hard when he was unwell. The sense of guilt gnawed at her, prompting a reevaluation of her behavior and intentions. MC's concern ran deeper than her initial motivations, leading her to understand the consequences of her actions. She hoped to convey her genuine care for him, wishing she could rectify her approach and truly support him in his time of need. Despite her frustrations, the day was defined by her lingering thoughts about him and the emotional complexity of their connection. As she was about to touch him, she controlled herself from doing so and just laid her head on his bed. She apologized and then remarked how long the curl of his lashes was up close, but he was actually thinking the same thing. He observed her thoroughly. Even though her skin was so nice, her cheeks got a little red. The curls at the tips of her hair are covering her face. In the end, he ended up expressing his true feelings and admitting how cute she looked. At the same moment, she also said cute, and at the same time, he said that remark. Iguchi beamed a smile as he read what she was about to say. Well, rather than reading what she's about to say, he was just saying that she's just cute. But because our MC is prideful, he wouldn't admit it and get angry with her. Anyways, his tongue almost slipped. Thank goodness, he halted, or else you're doomed, MC. MC, who was in his room, was currently checking out a magazine for a seductive scent. However, his sister suddenly interfered and teased him about going to be seductive. Of course, he wasn't prepared for that remark, especially when his sister is always away. He asked her niece-son when she came back. However, her sister was only interested in giving him an item that would help him now that he was in his puberty stage. She explained that the perfume she'll be giving him makes 1 or 2 girls fall for him. And he's right. That's the one from the appendix. But his sister insisted that he be grateful for having one instead of complaining. So, even though skeptical, he still put it on in hopes of attracting somebody we know. As he entered the classroom, Maino smelled the perfume he wore, so he asked MC if he was wearing one. With his high self-esteem, he didn't admit that he was actually wearing one. Instead, he explained that her older sister sprayed some. Maino found it nice as he always wanted to put on such things. Well, he believed it's not a bad scent until Iguchi sits beside him with such an expression. It turns out she's not as good with perfumes as others. That only means she can't tolerate the scent of perfume. Poor MC, his efforts are all wasted. Iguchi excused herself to the bathroom, and as for MC, he kept on blaming his sister. After all, it was all her idea. As Iguchi was inside the comfort room, she felt bad about it as she would be sitting with him the whole day, so she didn't know what to do. While contemplating, she heard Maino's voice and saw Maino getting angry at MC for washing himself off as he believed it was impossible. The floor is also getting wet, so Maino suggested getting a clean cloth to wipe it off. Meanwhile, MC is thinking if it's way better now. Eguchi was grateful for the efforts he put in. Of course, MC is prideful, so he wouldn't admit he did that just for her, so he lied that he didn't want to be treated like a smelly thing by him. What at tsundere? He didn't wipe up all the water, so Eguchi offered to wipe it for him. So she asked him where he put the perfume. Mostly it's in the wrist and back of the ears, and Eguchi managed to wipe it off. But the problem is that he also sprayed it on the upper part of his body before putting on a uniform. Without any hesitation, her hands entered MC's uniform and wiped it all off. But in the midst of that, she felt sick due to the stinking smell of the perfume. So guess what? In the end, they sat apart. The cultural festival performance is fast approaching, and most of the class has chosen to create a maid and butler cafe. Before anyone could step forward to volunteer as a butler, MC quickly proposed that he could don a mascot costume to draw in customers, fearing the embarrassment of being called out for the butler role. However, the teacher pointed out that the only mascot costume in storage was designed for women and would likely be too small for MC. Unfazed, Eguchi stepped up to take charge of the mascot outfit. She enthusiastically informed the teacher that she would craft a new costume from scratch, showcasing her creativity and commitment. This innovative solution not only addressed MC's concerns, but also provided a unique twist to their cafe concept. As the festival approaches, excitement builds among classmates who are ready to contribute and make the cafe a memorable experience for everyone. Eguchi's initiative and MC's willingness to embrace a fun role are sure to attract customers and cultivate a lively atmosphere at this year's festival. But that's not the case. MC just did that to save himself from second-hand embarrassment, and Eguchi did that to taunt MC more. After feeling triumph all over her body, she turned to MC, assuring him that he needed to take his measurements in order to do that. Since it's already settled, they will be the ones in charge of that position. The rest of the positions will be divided among the class. She proceeded to measure his body, so she ordered him to quickly strip for her. But MC kept on insisting he would do fine by himself. However, that's not possible. Measuring actually needs a bit of sensitivity. However, in his defense, he never agreed to be measured by her in the first place. He suggested calling Manhwa in. That way, he'll be the one to measure him. However, he's in the middle of the meeting for the executive committee. So to make it fair, Eguchi suggested that MC can measure her as well. He couldn't actually grasp which part of it was fair, but before he could even react, Eguchi already removed her brassiere. It was needed to accurately measure the bust length. Even though there's no malice in it, MC couldn't help but be flustered. She gave him the measuring tape and reminded him to be stable in doing so, as he couldn't possibly measure when they swung. He needed to make sure it was tightly wrapped around her bust. But really, sane thoughts, MC. How can she make that kind of face and act as if it's all normal? MC was also shocked because Eguchi ran away when the results weren't out yet. But she screamed that it was already out, pertaining to his nosebleed. She didn't care if anyone could see her knockers. All she could ever think was to grab a tissue for his nosebleed. However, it's not just that. What truly made him think so deeply is the fact that she feels comfortable enough not to wear a bra in front of him. While he was lost in thought, he overheard a conversation between two girls. One of them, named Rika, was being questioned by another girl about whether she was really going to wear a maid costume, considering how embarrassing it might be. Rika defended her choice, explaining that she had always wanted to wear it. Although the outfit is a bit revealing, she feels it's fine since it's not something they can wear every day. Rika pointed out that she didn't particularly care about the opinions of the guys in their class, so she felt no embarrassment. She likened it to wearing a mascot costume. It's all in fun, after all. This conversation left him wondering whether Eguchi feels the same way. Does her comfort in being herself and her disregard for others' opinions mean that she doesn't care about him? It made him reflect on their relationship and consider what it might reveal about her feelings. These thoughts lingered in his mind as he tried to make sense of everything. MC asked the internet for help on this one, looking for a sign that a person likes him. A specific person, to be exact. He was still thinking about whether or not Eguchi liked him or just plainly ignoring him. But looking back, they got a fair share of contact and bond that would really make you think she likes him. However, if that's not the case, then he feels as if he's just being used for his body. Little did he know, Eguchi was walking towards him behind, greeting him as she normally would do in the morning. But MC doesn't know how to act properly and just stares at her, thinking that he would also stare if a pretty girl were to appear in front of him. He quickly snapped out of it and turned as if he didn't care. On the other hand, Iguchi was concerned about him since he got a nosebleed yesterday. MC tried to put it aside as if it was not a big deal. But Iguchi was also there to let him know that the mascot costume was already ready for cleaning so they could try it on after school. He tried not to pay much attention to it, so they both went to the storage room to try on the costumes. MC stripped everything, giving Iguchi the best view possible, but MC's face wasn't feeling it. It gave Iguchi a mixed feeling of being happy or worried, and it seems like MC can't understand that. It was already decided that he doesn't care about where she looks or touches. He thinks he did something, but it only gave Iguchi an opportunity, which MC quickly took back because what the hell. Anyway, he immediately got into the costume and covered everything except his back. He was acting like an emotional girl, especially when he asked Iguchi if he were a bear covered with fluffy fur without his figure showing, would she not want to look at him? Iguchi was speechless, but before she could answer his question, their classmates saw them and flocked around MC. They pointed out that the mascot didn't fit his size at all, so MC had to ask his mom about his size first. The tension between them wasn't as usual, so I guess that's the spice in this vanilla manga. The next day after class, everyone was busy preparing for the festival, and MC was getting embarrassed at his emotional tantrum yesterday with the bear. Things are awkward between the two of them, and Iguchi won't even look at him. If only their classmates didn't interrupt them. Speaking of, that won't happen because everyone in the class needs all the manpower they can have, so they asked MC if he bought the paint. As for Iguchi, the other girls asked her to try on the maid outfit so they could compare. However, MC overheard a conversation by the other boys that she would definitely look pretty, and his jealousy got triggered, which annoyed him. As Iguchi was already in the storage room, ready to change into the costume, MC suddenly burst out into the classroom, leaving his responsibility just so he could run towards Iguchi. Without knowing much, he went to the storage room and called her out without properly thinking what he's gonna say. So he directly told her that she couldn't wear the maid outfit because she wouldn't look good in it. That pissed Iguchi, so she put on the maid outfit to prove him wrong, and it was because this girl looked fine in that outfit. She walks past him, saying that everyone is waiting to see her, but he stops her and says that he doesn't want other people in class to look at her with those meaningful eyes as he does. MC felt sorry for making her remember something terrible, but Iguchi dragged him into the storage room and said that she had never ever hated how he looked at her, because when it comes to him, she doesn't mind getting seen as such. Now that she has confessed, she wants to know if he hates it as she looks at him without the same meaningful eyes. But MC replied that he doesn't while looking away out of embarrassment. Then Iguchi mentioned his tantrum with the bear yesterday and admitted that the thought of him covering his skin with fur is as good looking as she anticipated. But when people started flocking around him in that costume, she realized that she didn't want him to wear it. She feels the same way as he does now, which only means she is jealous. That concludes that perhaps Iguchi has fallen for MC, and with that, he drew his face closer to her as if he were to kiss her. But then Iguchi falls back, and it was a big slap for MC that he just got rejected, so they fell silent before he burst out laughing. He laughed and said how she thought he was gonna kiss her when he wouldn't, but that was just a pathetic excuse. He said that he was just joking around, which offended Iguchi, so she kicked him out of the storage room and said that he was the worst. He obviously screwed up, and now he's whining because he regretted his actions. On the other hand, Iguchi's heart was thumping hard because his actions surprised her and made her think he was gonna kiss her. She felt embarrassed because she made a weird sound, so now tears were falling from her eyes as she realized that there was no way Ikezawa would look at her that way. And the edging just kept going. The next morning came and MC was sitting on his chair while still getting fed up with his actions the previous day. It seems like he just dug his grave with that joke, and now he doesn't even know how to face her today. A few minutes later, Iguchi came in and was greeted first by Mano. They exchanged greetings, and she sat down in her seat while ignoring MC. If she were to continue ignoring him, he wanted to see how long it would take her not to notice. He pretended that he was sweating, so he acted all laid back. He grabbed a body wipe and wiped out the sweat on his body as if he were on an Axe commercial or something. Only to find out that Iguchi wasn't even looking. In that case, he went as far as asking Iguchi to help him with the areas he can't reach, like his back, which obviously made Iguchi flatter, but she still has the decency to say no for her pride's sake. That felt like a déjà vu back to when he exposed himself willingly to him, but now's not the time to reminisce. So he got on his knees and apologized to Iguchi for taking his actions too far yesterday. She replied that she wished he wouldn't make jokes like that, so it's okay if he were to show a lot of skin as he wants because she no longer feels anything about that. Hearing her words made MC dumbfounded because that would alter how they act around each other. For Iguchi to prove that she's serious, she takes the wipes and wipes MC's back, and now they're back to fighting after making up again. The next day, Iguchi was looking gloomy first thing in the morning, so she explained that she had a hard time making the bear costume and decided to buy one from the store instead. Although she wanted it to be special by capturing his bodyline, there was no time to do that, so they needed to buy it from the store instead. She was thinking of buying it after class, and it would be more convenient if he could try it out, so that means they're going out after class. That sounded like a date, but things would get ruined if he were to overthink it, so he didn't think much about it. After class, Mano asked MC for help regarding the menu for the festival, but MC said that he had plans with Iguchi, which surprised him. The way MC was looking smug wasn't helping at all, so the poor second character is left single and alone while stressing about being a committee in class. Later, the two went to the mall, where Iguchi was talking about not messing it up so she could achieve her goal of making the costume fit for NC. However, a sweet smell lingers in the air and makes it through her nostrils. It was coming from the freshly baked melon bread, which made her stomach growl. MC notices this and thinks that they should eat, but Iguchi refuses. It's not like he would listen though, because he already got one for each, and now they can enjoy this yummy bread together. MC realized that Iguchi was acting rather normal without much teasing, but the moment he looked at her, she was biting off that bread so cutely that he choked on it. Now there are breadcrumbs falling on his abs. It would be a waste to wipe it off, so Iguchi did what was best, and that was to take it out and eat it because a small crumb of bread shouldn't be wasted. In the end, their mascot hunting turned into posing for a camera while in a bear cosplay. MC was posing cutely with Iguchi before he even asked what the hell they were doing. They were straying far from the goal, but Iguchi argued that it was her job to make sure the bear costume really suited him. But that was obviously made up. She saw the cosplay photo while they were walking, so she was tempted by it, and there's not much choice, and now they're posing for the camera. NC felt the unfairness because he was the only one in cosplay, so Iguchi replied that she didn't plan on dressing up for the festival anyway. He was noisy and throwing a tantrum, so she had no choice but to also cosplay. There were a bunch of cute options to pick from, and they ended up cosplaying as Bear and Cat. It was a perfect cosplay, and MC could barely stop looking at her. Iguchi doesn't feel embarrassed in that costume and proceeds to pose for the camera, but MC can only stare at her while the camera is shooting. His stares became so intense that it made her slightly embarrassed, but it just made it worse because she was cute when embarrassed. It made MC look at her more intensely, which gave Iguchi the urge to attack him. In the end, their photos ended up looking like 4-coma manga, which is funny because it makes me want to sleep and never wake up. With one look at Ekezawa in the mascot costume, Iguchi feels pretty much out of this world. The lady is snapping photos like crazy. She got more requests for him to try the panda and rabbit suit too. That pisses him off, scolding this silly Billy that they got what they wanted, so quit it. So these two pack up and head out. Walking home, Ekezawa asks what Iguchi plans for the cultural festival day that is next week. She informs me that she has the duty of the drinks at the back. Moreover, she rambles on about today's shopping spree for outfits, but they had hot snacks, and took some couples photos as well. So she confronts him that it somewhat feels like they are hanging out. She asks if he had fun, but this firecracker doesn't agree with her. He mentions how she drove him crazy with whatever she wanted. Sulking in silence, she mutters a quick apology. He notices her vibe turning all gloomy, so he goes easy on her. However, seeing their reaction makes him realize that he's the bad guy here. Although he remembers having a fun time there too, he curses himself for screwing up a big time. The next day, Ekezawa got his trump card showcasing by using their album as the phone cover, which caught her off guard. She couldn't help but giggle. At the cultural festival, a clumsy chick begs Iguchi to wear the maid outfit. Mano lays out that the top prize for interclass is actually the hot grilled meat, which is why they think Iguchi is the only place here. Well, Iguchi passes a look at Ekezawa. After a while, Ekezawa comes out wearing the maid outfit, throwing the class guys off their rockers. Man crushed their hopes like a real man. Turns out that Ekezawa and Iguchi swapped their costumes. They got these prepared just in case. She thanks Ekezawa while the chicks are practically digging her cute bear look. Moreover, the cafe's manager hopes to see Ekezawa dragging in customers at all costs. Maino tells these bumheads to be extra careful with such hot costumes. On the school run, the seniors like Ikezawa's cross-dressing and would want to see his panties now. They demand service, lifting his stupidly long skirt to see if she is wearing the woman's stuff inside too. Suddenly, Iguchi comes to the rescue, pushing the lads out of the way, and together makes a run for it. Upon asking, Iguchi explains how he looked like not having fun playing dirty with his senpais. Though it's easy to tell, she grabs his sexy waist and pins him down. Now that this cute bear got him all trapped, she points out that his reaction right now is not the same as before. Now she is sliding her hands up his thighs. This man is putting out a red alert. She asks if he's okay with her touching him since he's not stopping her. A pretty bold move coming from a tiny cute bear. This girl's head runs wild in this animal costume. Chills run down his spine, and he feels at a loss for words. He's torn away, wanting to say he does want an outright pervy sage to touch her. Well, she doesn't mind getting an answer, but a nod might work. So she asks him again, and his mind buzzes no, but his head nods instead. This turns her on even more, caressing his sweaty thighs. Just when she looks down, Ikezawa asks her to stop now before it's too late. Suddenly, the man trips down on his knees, short of his breath. He wishes to die. Iguchi, storming out, mentions needing to buy undies. Ikezawa stops her right there, telling her that he can change later, but Iguchi clarifies that she needs them for herself. Time for a great comeback after fetching clear minds and clean pants. These two are about to throw the best advertising campaign. Trying to think of ways to gather people, Ikezawa believes the only option is to move with discipline. Suddenly, a terrifying idiot scares the crap out of him and ends up getting thrown off by the maid Ikezawa. After this fuss, this clubmate invites these two to check out Class C's haunted house. Apparently, they got a no-screen game going to win a surprise. Ikezawa shot down the offer to advertise his cafe, but this dude thinks his cutie patootie outfit turned him into a softie. Shivering like a hairdryer, Ikezawa mutters that he ain't no chicken. Turns out that Ikezawa got a trauma from watching back-to-back horror movies with his sister, and now these two enter the haunted house. Iguchi asks if he is scared. They can go, but the lad pulls the Onna reverse card, so Iguchi is ready to show this bonehead. One step, and Ikezawa spots a half-dead zombie corpse. The guys thought they would hear a scream, but Ikezawa's head was about to boil like hot lava. Suddenly, he grabs the Spec's mommy tightly, like a scared loser. Trembling like a blow-dryer, Iguchi is having a hard time flinching a muscle, so she asks Ikezawa to let go of her. With a sigh, she explains to the lad how she is going to cast a spell on him to tone down this scary fever. Just then, she whispers to him that she is going commando right now, which means she is all naked under the fur. Turns out she had a wardrobe malfunction, so she didn't have the time to buy. A second later, Ikezawa jolts away from her finally. The lad feels like his head is spinning crazy after knowing this. Now his mind is pretty much flooded with what's underneath the costume. Walking ahead, Ikezawa's eyes couldn't look away from Yuchi's twerks. Even with crazy jump scares, both have their minds super focused on all the wrong stuff. He gets the lady a solid mojo working on him. This chick is stunned at the spot. Upon skiing, Ikezawa learns that she is also a scaredy cat, and she's only hiding it so he doesn't lose his cool. Thus, this calls for Ikezawa's time to cast a spell, so he pulls off his undies, playing the game fair. That catches her off guard. On the other hand, the guys at the office are mind blown by hearing words like pants. They don't get what kind of cheating that could even be. Ikezawa is holding his undies, saying how she won't be scared anymore. Iguchi lets him know that he didn't need to take them off like that, but he is assured that this chick isn't losing her mind now, so they walk out even with the zombies and half-dead mummies crawling in their space. One even crawls right under Ikezawa's skirt and gets a lifelong trauma in exchange. Those two throw a hissy fit, and even the office guys agree with this being harassment. The zombie dude feels like he is bleaching his eyes. In this case, Ikezawa gets how important pants are. Suddenly, they realize throwing their pants somewhere in fear, so they search for it. Apparently, it's hanging right above them, so Iguchi got Ikezawa to lift her high. Feeling how Iguchi's marshmallow squishies against him, the lad loses his cool and storms out of the haunted house with Iguchi on his back. Dropping her at the side, he informs her that he got new undies to buy in a hurry, but this chick stops to clear up the whole misunderstanding by saying she is wearing pants. Apparently, that was a trick she once read to distract the fear buzz. Ikezawa roasts the little girl while the office guys don't get their fuss. Wearing his pants back on, he hears Iguchi's chain of apologies for lying. He is sure to make her pay for this sin. Getting into the class, everyone welcomes Ekezawa, praising his cute maid outfit. The chick thought Iguchi was his girlfriend, but Ekezawa cleared up the misunderstanding pretty quickly. She invites these two to their class restaurant. Upon asking, Ekezawa mentions playing the gratitude trade here. Thus, he orders everything on the menu, which the waiter thinks he has lost his mind. She reminds this loser that he can't even finish off his lunch. She warns the idiot that she won't be on cleaning duty if he throws up everywhere. Upon asking, Ekezawa explained that this girl was her primary school friend. When the feast arrives with a little extra for Ekezawa, these two dig in. Iguchi plans to eat like a wild animal, but ends up passing out rather quick. Ekezawa asks Iguchi to take the rest to go, but she plans to eat it in a short span. He asks why she wouldn't let him eat. Thus, she explains that the only way he can have it all is if he would let her feed him. The lad shot down this chance of public embarrassment, which gives her the idea that it's okay to do it behind the benches. Now, Iguchi's plan's coming up. Ekezawa, as the vampire, does the trick or treat on sleepy Iguchi. She pulls him in and strips him down. That's how that house became off-limits for the monsters. Iguchi is ready with the big bite, asking Ekezawa to open his mouth wide. Chills run down his spine. He tells the lady he got hands to feed himself, but that doesn't work on her. Now, this beer girl is asking him to do the ah in a super cute way. Though he is trembling like a cat, his stomach growls like a lion. This dude has never been a total nerve wreck at opening mouths, and suddenly he feels his jaws super clenched for some reason. She insists on feeding him, so he takes the bite, saying goodbye to his honor. She gets the lad doesn't want to play this, so she asks if it's because she is on the other end. With a sigh, she demands to know if this dude wants to go hang out with his friends. She believes that he would have a blast with friends rather than just a classmate. His head clicks, and he gets where this is coming from. She rambles on about having so much fun together, thinking she thought that's what friends do. The chick is about to walk out, but Ekezawa stops her midway. Iguchi tells him not to force it out, as his true intentions were displayed properly today. With nothing left, he screams aloud that he wants to be fed by her. Ekezawa states that he wouldn't let a mere classmate come near him, but for her, he got his mouth wide open. Crouching down, this dude got his mouth wide open. Iguchi is totally frozen in one spot. Then she asks what he would like first, so he picks Shuma. Grabbing his face, she feeds Shuma to him slowly. Not gonna lie, our spec queen knows how to get her way with solid mind games. She got him wrapped around her fingers. Snapping out of it, Ekezawa scolds this chick to quit taking on a turtle's pace. She states that haste makes waste, so in no way she would do that. Thus, she got the plane ready for Ekezawa, so he opened his mouth wide to give the plane a ton away in him. Like a cute puppy, he eats all the bites that Spec's mommy got for him. He wants gyoza next, so she asks him to chew this time. He makes a fuss about following her orders, but mommy sets his attitude straight with a gyoza bite. Suddenly, a bite falls from his mouth, so she catches it and is about to eat it. Shaken to his core, he asks if she is really going to eat something that fell out of his mouth. In the name of waste, Iguchi claims not to see any problem in eating it. This is driving him crazy. He wants to eat his food, but Iguchi gives him a flat no. He states that he would eat anything from her hands, dirty or not, so he licks it off her hands. She is blushing and storming off, calling him a pervert, but he is thinking she's the real pervert. Not gonna lie, this scene is pure gold. Like it's got everything, drama, comedy, and a whole lot of tension. Ekezawa and Iguchi had wandered through every corner of the school, yet their efforts had been fruitless. Suddenly, he realizes that they even forgot about the ad board. Before they can gather their thoughts or attempt damage control, the crackling of the school's PA system interrupts them. A stern voice instructed them to return to their classroom immediately. Ekezawa and Iguchi exchange uneasy glances, both fully aware they are in serious trouble. Iguchi nervously asks the boy if the school management are calling them back because of their failure of an ad campaign. At this, Ekezawa reminds her that they went to the haunted house in the Chinese cafe, so in some ways, they did complete the task. Funnily, the boy knows it's a lie because even if they did go to those places, they didn't do any advertisement there. Instead, they hung out and wasted their time. To make matters worse, they even lost the ad board. So in simple words, they both are doomed. Suddenly, Meino appears in front of them with his partner. To their surprise, Meino and his partner complimented them that they did a good job. At this, Ikezawa and Iguchi become stunned, as they didn't expect this. Apparently, the live mic in the haunted house was also being broadcasted outside. Luckily, everyone loved their advertisement, so because of it, their team rose to first place with all the sales. Meino and the girl are very happy with this outcome. Thus, they happily announce that they are going for yakiniku. At this, Ikezawa becomes happy, as he is excited to eat the most expensive meat. However, Sensei comes there and tells the boy to come with him to the teacher's room. There, the man scolds him for taking off his pants earlier and punishes him with cleanup duty. Funnily, poor lad is now stuck for the cleanup duty. He is sulking in the classroom while cleaning the mess there. Well, he's learned a valuable lesson today. Don't get your hopes up too high. Surprisingly, Iguchi comes there and tells the boy that she feels bad since it was her fault that he removed his pants, and now because of it, he got this punishment. That's why she came here to help him. Ikezawa feels a wave of emotion as he realizes she left the yakiniku place just to help him. The boy wants to thank her for this. Hence, he knows a certain way of saying thanks that will 100% make her happy. Thus, Ikezawa takes off his shift and slips into a waiter's outfit. He then calls out to her with a polite bow and addresses her as my lady. Iguchi's cheeks flush with a mix of surprise and embarrassment at his sudden gesture. Man, these two are serving up more drama than we get in our whole lives. So this dude, Ikezawa, a handsome fella looking sharp in a tux, looks to be playing the part of a fancy butler. With a boa being at her service, he's all like, "Welcome gorgeous," to this smoking hot lassie, Iguchi. In the meantime, outside the room, there's a bunch of girls freaking out. Something about a sight to behold got them totally hooked. However, those chimps have no pass to enter this steamy classroom. They ended up in a rut when they got a door totally locked from the inside. There she stands next to the door, all sweaty and panting heavily, with her big melons, talking about how Ikezawa is a hot catch. Iguchi, this hot babe, is going on and on about how sexy this man looks. On the other hand, Ikezawa, who's supposed to be all smooth and cool, is freaking out inside. In a panic frenzy, this butler's brain is short-circuiting in the mid-sentence. Sweating bullets like crazy, Ikezawa is like, "This outfit is totally lame and not sexy at all." He points at the fact that this rubbish isn't even showing much of anything. But that's the thing Iguchi digs. Practically for her, this outfit is calling on to her, ready to be ripped into shreds. That's when Iguchi takes the wheel and pins him down, while Ikezawa's head spins like crazy. She likes Ikezawa's glove touch to this butler thingy, which is totally on point. My man, Ikezawa, didn't know a butler suit could excite this breathtaking hottie. She reveals that the glove's fabric is blocking her from feeling the touch of his fingers, so she has to imagine the softness of his hands, the sweats, the grasp, the touch of the skin. Iguchi is going nuts in this intense tension, craving for their hands to meet. Without further ado, Iguchi slides her fingers in his hand to feel the touch, which races Ikezawa's heart. His mind's totally blown by Iguchi's thirst for the touch, how this chaotic lassie took down the glove rather smoothly. Suddenly, she slaps his hand and pins it down the wall, touching the warmth of his fingers. Well, the room's temperature is off the charts, with these two up against the steamy window. She blurts out how his hand is warmer than she imagined. Out of the blue, both get jolted by the sudden ring of the bell, raising that it's time to get home now. The school alerts these lovesick fools to pack up and hop out of the school's premises as it's time to shut down. With the school bell ringing, practically yelling at these lovesick dummies that it's closing time, these fools totally forgot to wipe the floor here. They had like one job, but it turns out this hot babe would want to get a move on with this butler. Panic mode kicks in as they scramble like headless chickens, grabbing the broom and trash bags as their lives depend on them. Those 2 minutes of leaving the class crystal clean were pure chaos. Trash bags are all piled up and stacked in the corner, ready to be tossed. Ikezawa steps up and takes the job of throwing the trash out, though he takes this chance to get himself a change of clothes while he's at it. Just as he's about to head out, Iguchi stops him right there. Turns out that this hotshot lassie wants to save this memory locked in her phone, so she is all about clicking some good snaps. She asks Ikezawa if she can take a picture. That caught him off guard. The dude freaks out, totally blindsided as he lashes out, saying how that would be super embarrassing, so no way in hell. She, sparking her googly eyes, nags that this dude needs to take a chill pill and stop flopping around like a noodle breakdancing. He fires back, saying that's right here is what's already embarrassing enough. But these love doves must meet in the middle, so Ikezawa takes the initiative to let this one slide only if she gets down to do it with him. He's all about if he's doing down, he's taking her with him. Snatching her phone like a smooth operator, he sets up the selfie camera like a full-on Reese lord. This fancy butler slides next to Iguchi and snaps a pic. Then, like a total madman, he just throws the phone back with zero dans given. With his head held high, he tells the lassie not to dare aid herself out of this. In no way in hell, Ikezawa would show this cosplay like a reckless loser unless a hot babe sticks next to him. Iguchi smirks and tells this butthurt lanky that she wouldn't dream of pulling that stunt ever. With that settled, Ikezawa steps away, heading out to toss the trash outside, throwing her casually. He lets her know that she can lock the door. As he heads off, he suddenly recalls her snapping a pic of him the other day in that bear costume a while back. He lets out a sigh, guessing this chick probably has a mountain pile and a whole gallery of those embarrassing shots. He bets that one of these days, he'd better get a chance to make her delete that pile. Moving on, just as he's about to toss the trash, it hits him that this genius forgot to grab his clothes back there. All grateful that his lousy head gave him a reminder, he takes a U-turn back. Just as he steps back in, he catches her bouncing off the floor like a kid on a sugar rush. That's a sight to behold for this guy, that he could make this happen by clicking a snap. Spotting him in the doorway, she is thrown off her rocker. With her head spinning like a top, she spits out a flurry of excuses about her mom cooking yakiniku for dinner. Even Ikezawa is flipping his head, muttering that this lassie's crazy lucky. Not gonna lie, she's throwing off excuses faster than a TikTok trend dies. Ikezawa is totally fine with her rushing out of here, but Iguchi would like to wait for him to be done. He assures her of doing a quick run. The lassie nearly got busted doing a full-on happy hop while admiring their picture. Thanks to mom's yakiniku excuse, she pulled off a smooth save. Later, that yakiniku talk earned Ikezawa quite a hunger pang. Moreover, he thought Iguchi's happy bunny hops were totally about their snap together. The dude just can't handle more of this. Meanwhile, Iguchi is practically begging God not to let that goofball figure it out.